Yeah, that Billy Graham video I did, I'm my own worst critic. I do go back and watch sometimes um certain videos that I make. And I was sitting there thinking somebody could say to themselves if they're not really reading all of Revelation 20, because I referred to them, I showed, but the rest of the dead live not again. And I said, down here at judgment, they're referred to as dead because they were killed at Revelation 12:9. And if you're just listening to the video, because I'm critiquing myself, you could say, well, they were always called the dead. It just means that they have no eternal life with God or something. They could twist it. No, they were dead, still in the dust of the earth. Only the sheep had been raised to spend the 1,000 years with Christ. Then what I didn't mention was the 1,000 years were expired. Satan is loosed for out of his prison and shall go out and deceive the nations. And this is when the goats are now raised from the dead. They're now alive. That's why they have the weeping and the gnashing of the teeth. And so it's referred to as Gog and Magog out of Ezekiel 38, which I went back and looked at that and made a determination, and I can't remember what it was, but I think Ezekiel 38 is one or the other. It's just about end times judgment, period, told in a cryptic way, or it was something very literal that's a parallel to judgment. Either way, so this is judgment. It's referred to as Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is the sand of the sea. So it's now all goats and all fallen angel demonic entities, everything that's not a sheep or one of God's angels, they surround where Jesus is having his 1,000 year millennial reign, whether it's a literal thousand or not. I'm not dogmatic about that part, but they're alive now. They've been raised, and Satan is loosed out of his prison, because Satan doesn't die, fallen angels don't die, but the dead goats are raised, and they think they're going to go to battle because they've been deceived by Satan to think they are going to battle. It says, shall go out and deceive the nations. So they're under the impression they're going to go to war with God and his sheep, or with Jesus and his sheep, and that they'll be victorious. But once they're actually there and they surround the camp of Satan, they begin to cry, weep, and gnash their teeth. Because they know what's coming. It's put into their hearts to know what's coming, or else they would not be weeping and gnashing their teeth. Plus, they're seeing all sheep with Jesus, knowing that they were never loved. It wasn't about a free will decision. They know they were never loved, and they know the sheep were loved. Now, only a few goats are going to have ever have known a sheep, but all the sheep will have known goats, friends, and family members. That's why God has to wipe away all the tears of the sheep, because the sheep witness judgment. They see their friends and family weeping and gnashing their teeth. As I say, most goats have never even spoken to a sheep. Sheep are of the narrow way. Few be that find it. Very few goats have ever had a conversation with a sheep. Most of the sheep on the earth today are lost. So they haven't had any type of edifying conversation with a sheep, I can tell you that, or heard the truth from a sheep, because most of all the sheep, 99.999% of all sheep on the earth today are lost. And when they do get the call, the abomination of desolation, they will come from every type of world religion around the earth. I guarantee it. It's not just people that are going to these false pulpits on Sunday. Like, oh, they'll be awakened. No, no, no. They're just as much of a percentage of Far Eastern, Middle Eastern, you name it, Church of Satan. Seriously. So anyway, so then they're devoured by the fire that came down, and then they're dead again. And that's why it's referred to as the second death. And just like cremation, and we told you that hell is the grave, and we Google searched it and showed it. That's an easy Google search. Hell is the grave. You do your research. The lake of fire is where the fire is, and death and the grave are thrown into the lake of fire. It's basically a cleansing process, like a cremation situation that we have today. Love you. I'm sure if I were to watch this, I'll be like, well, then you forgot this. I drive myself crazy because you have to write a book to cover all this, which is what I've done.